I call the meeting to order at 6:34. Would we all please stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance? Not trip over your chair. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May we have the roll call, please?
Jan Gaffney.
Here.
Tim Holcomb.
Here.
Allison McFadden-Kiesling.
Here.
Nancy Moon.
Here.
Alan Panter.
Here.
Marilyn Pomeroy.
Here.
Maggie Sands absent. Julie Meredith here. Sorry, Alan.
My fault.
As long as it was a good cookie, it's okay.
Great cookies.
We need to have an approval of the agenda. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
We've had a motion to approve the agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. Motion carried. A call to the public. Any public? No public. Okay, let's move forward. A review of the 2026 budget.
All right. Okay, this has been a work in progress for quite some time, as you know, but I'm pleased to be able to present it to you tonight. So the first thing I wanted to do is just put up some statistics, some year-to-date statistics. So year-to-date, we have had 101,000 visitors, over 200,000 circulations, over 4,000 computer users, over 8,000, almost 9,000 information questions, 77,000 downloads. It's really good numbers this year, and we still have 2 months to go. So I just wanted to share those details before we even get started with our budget. So let's dig in. So we've all kind of been through the whole preparation process, but just as a review for the public, we do a review of the Detroit Suburban Library Roundtable annual wage data. That's something that we're actually collecting the current data that we will turn in. It's due next week, and then that information will be released to us by the end of the year so that we're ready to start writing 2027. We review of potential capital projects for the coming year. We do a public hearing for the millage rate. The library board approves our L4029 tax rate request form. We do a preparation of the draft budget. We do a budget workshop. We do a public hearing, which we're doing tonight. And the library board approves the 2026 budget if all goes well. So some additional elements that are always make it interesting when we're trying to work on the budget. We do have a lot of quotes for databases and service agreements renewals that we have to make sure to work in there. Sometimes they change a lot, sometimes they change a little, so those are things we have to keep in mind. Changes to minimum wage, those have been happening every year. We've still got a few more years of that being adjusted. And then we have insurance premium information that comes in. And that's been really all over the board. There were a few years during the pandemic where our insurance rates did not change at all. Last year we had an 8% increase. This year we're looking at 14.9%. So those were all elements that had to be worked into the budget. So then in terms of the legal requirements, we do have a couple of really important deadlines that we have to meet. The first deadline we have to meet is that September 30th, 2025 public hearing for the millage rate, which we did without any issues. The board approves the L4029, and then we have to submit that to all of the clerks. So the county clerk and the township clerk and the city clerk all get that so that they know that what the millage rate is and what money they will be collecting for us over the course of the coming year. The deadline that we're working on right now is having the budget approved by December 31st. So that's the next project. And this is the L4029. It should look familiar. This is what we looked at just back in September. And the revenues. So the revenues haven't really, from what we talked about in September, haven't really changed much. The district-wide millage of 1.1687 was approved by the voters in 2022. It was subject to heavy reduction this year. So from 1.1625 in 2024 to 1.1521 in 2025. State aid has been included in the state's fiscal budget this coming year. So when we talked about this in September, I had taken that money out. I have slid it back in there because we do believe it is coming. But as I always do, I make sure to budget that conservatively. So it comes as 2 checks. And I budgeted for one, because if things get tight or things get ugly near the end of the year, sometimes that second check doesn't come. So I don't like to put something in the budget that isn't going to show up potentially, to make sure that we're not making cuts later in the year. If it comes later in the year, then it's a boon, and we can maybe do some projects that we had maybe set aside or tabled. I always have little projects waiting in the wings. So E-rate is uncertain in 2026, that's federal money, and it has been removed from the budget. I did not put that back in. Penal fines have been fairly stable, and the things that we're hearing is that that's going to remain stable. So it's nice that our budget is a little bit later this year, so that I've had a little more time to check on those numbers and make sure that they're as reliable as I was hoping that they would be. Fines and fees and duplicating and photocopying have all been increasing. Some of that has to do with the fact that we're doing 3D printing and things like that. Those are new services that we've been offering. So those are bringing in some additional revenue for us. Interest has increased, but will be mostly used for future capital projects. So that's an investment. So we're rolling that money back in on itself. But I have recognized it in the budget as being something that we do have as an increase in revenue. So the library will have total estimated operating revenues of approximately $2,903,035, which is an increase of approximately $144,381 over last year. Any questions about that? Okay, moving on. Okay, so 2026, some of our budget variables. The minimum wage increase went from $12.48 to $13.73. Now, you may remember when we talked about this back in September, they were saying $13.29. But there is a stipulation in the statute that says that depending on what inflation does, it may get bumped up. And so kind of at the 11th hour, it went from $13.29 to $13.73. Not a deal breaker, but just something that we needed to be aware of, and it is now written into the budget with comfort. That 14.9% increase in healthcare costs. We do have 5 full-time employees reaching longevity anniversaries, so we'll provide an additional week of vacation. So of course we want to make sure that we have part-time coverage to make sure that they can take that time and that the work still gets done and the public still gets served appropriately. So that has been worked into the budget as well. Continuing the shift of downloadable versus physical materials does affect the budget, but to be perfectly honest, our libraries have been kind of working that out on their own. I said, do we need more this year? And they've just been kind of trading money back and forth to make sure that we're balancing out how much we're buying physical versus how much we're buying downloadable. And there hasn't really been any infighting or cat scratching or anything, so it's all been good. That's good. Yeah. So I appreciate the librarians being kind and generous with each other. That does make my job easier. And then, of course, our strategic plan, activity plan projects are included in the budget as well. We've got some really exciting things, one of which you'll be seeing as a presentation later this evening. Okay, so library staffing costs. So staffing usually accounts for 50 to 65% of the library's budget, and staffing costs have been between 59 and 61% since 2017. And it will be maintained at 61% in 2026 as well. I'm very proud of the fact that we've been able to do that. This is one of the many ways that I recession-proof our budget. You never know when things are going to happen, and we want to make sure that we can protect not only our operating costs, but also our staff, and make sure that we have the people that are here to do the services that are needed. One really important thing that people need to understand about libraries is that libraries build and make improvements when money is good. Because what ends up happening when the bottom falls out of the economy is people need us even more. And at that same time, our budget sometimes drops as well. And so we want to make sure that the things are happening that need to happen now, so that the computers are getting replaced and staying up to date, that the building is being maintained. All of those things have to be written into the budget now so that we're doing a good job with it, because when we don't have the money and we're trying to make do with what we have, when people need us even more, it's really important that we've done our hard work when we have the money to make those improvements. So in 2024, accruing sick time for our part-time employees was implemented. Now that it has been in place for several months, we have better data on how it's being used. So last year we did do some extra cushioning in our part-time budget to make sure that as people were using that we would have appropriate coverage, that if somebody called in sick, that we would be able to manage everything. And we did a really good job with that, and I was able to dial that back a little bit this year because we now have better idea of how it's going to be used. So I feel much more confident in those numbers. It was a little bit more of an educated guess last year. Healthcare premiums. Oops, sorry, I forgot. Our five full-time employees reaching longevity. That's another thing that I needed to make sure to work in. Our health care premiums will increase to 14.9%, and staffing changes have also had some effect on those benefit totals, but I got that all worked into the budget as well. Another thing that was a little bit of a challenge, but we got it done. And state law will continue to adjust minimum wage. So as I said, $12.48 in 2025, $13.73 in 2026. We were expecting $13.29. It went up a little bit more, so good for the employees, but it was a little bit of extra math on my part. No problem. The estimate for 2027 is $14.16, but that could be affected by that additional trigger in the statute that would make allowances for inflation, and also $14.97 in 2028, and that's as far out as that's being predicted at this point. The job market does continue to be competitive, and each year the Library Board Staffing Committee does use that DSLRT data, which is an annual survey of the finances, operations, and services of all 6 class sizes of libraries in southeastern Michigan. We are a class 5. We look very closely at that data, and I tease out the class 5 data. And not only do I tease out the class 5 data, but there are 2 libraries in particular that are demographically very, very similar to us in terms of the size of their population, in terms of their budget, and their staffing and that sort of thing. And that would be Orion Township Library right next door and the Saline Public Library. So not only when I work with the staffing committee, do we look at that DSLRT data, but we look specifically at those 2 libraries and make sure that we're where we need to be in terms of those as well. So the staffing committee looked at all of this data, and they are recommending a base adjustment of 3% with some additional individual corrections being made for employees that have changes to their tasks that they're doing, some additional responsibilities, that sort of thing. And we also did some additional balancing on the lower end of the scale because of that minimum wage moving up, that 9% increase. We wanted to make sure that we didn't have people who were our most entry level bumping into our people who have more experience and more training. So we did a little bit of adjustment there. The board does have those numbers in front of you as a list. Okay, so for wages and benefits, this is the breakdown, the numbers that we have, and that was provided to you in the packet. We are seeing, obviously, an increase in both full-time and part-time wages, and in FICA. You can see that great big jump there in health insurance. But when you go down this entire list of numbers, you get to the bottom, that 1,771,254 is comfortably at 61%. Not right up against the top of 61%, but just over the top of 61%. Right where we want to be. Any questions? All right. So this is our organizational chart. I throw this in here every year. We didn't actually make any adjustments to the organizational chart. We do have one employee whose title changed slightly. Our school outreach coordinator will now be our school and outreach coordinator. We're expanding her responsibilities a little bit to not just be school outreach, but other sorts of outreach in that youth department. She will work hand in hand with the collaborations library, who does outreach on behalf of the adult services department. And so they will be partnering. But our school and outreach coordinator, I'm train myself to say that, she will be the one who will be responsible for the budget, and that has more to do with the fact that she has more longevity in the position, so she's got some additional tasks this year, which she has taken on with pleasure, she says. Okay, so wage ranges, part-time. This is what I was talking about. So you see in the green, those are our 2025 minimum and maximum wage ranges. That's what we see on the job descriptions. That center 2 columns in white, those are the DSLRT numbers. It should say 2020, yep, that's right, 2024 data, and then the proposed 2026 numbers. You can see in that particular set of ranges, anything that's in bold is something that I've tweaked in some way. And the staffing committee is aware of those. They were in on that whole conversation as well. So moving on, any other questions? Okay, so moving on. So these are the full-time wages. Same thing, we've got our, in the green, those are the 2025 current ranges. The white down the middle is our DSLRT data, our proposed 2026. Minimum and maximum, same thing, anything that needs a slight adjustment is in bold. I do want to point out that where it says 5 and 6, I should have made it a little clearer. For our head of technical services, he's a little bit of a unicorn. There are not a lot of heads of technical services And so when I do that particular calculation, I include the libraries that are class 5 and class 6. But you'll notice there's not quite as high as the average, and that's because that high average is due to those class 6 libraries having bigger budgets and whatever. So we use it to kind of balance it out to make sure that we're still kind of where we should be. Any questions about any of that? The one other change that you'll see is that head of circulation, and when we approved that job description, when we posted that position, we did make a change to that range. The change to the range has already been approved, but I did keep it in this list and I did bold it. But you did approve it when we did the posting, and that's because we made that position, we accommodated the fact that that person could potentially have an MLIS, and this was in library and information science, whereas before that position did not have that as a characteristic necessarily. So our current range allows us to hire either type of employee depending on who is the best candidate for the position. So operational cost assumptions, significant growth continues in downloadable e-collections, and I'm sure our innovations librarian would be happy to smile and nod in regards to that. Participation in programs and outreach activities continues to grow. We anticipate that's going to continue in the year as we progress. Priorities from the strategic plan activity plan have been included in the budget, such as an overhaul of the website and the space assessment of the building. The availability and interest of in-person networking and professional development opportunities has been increasing, so our staff's wanting to get out there and learn more, and we're really excited about that, so we've built in some more money to be able to do those kinds of things. And the buildings and ground maintenance costs will increase slightly, but I'm going to tell you, our facilities coordinator is a crackerjack at keeping track and keeping it right on target in terms of predicting when we're going to see increases in certain kinds of things. So we are very fortunate to have her doing that role. So in terms of operational costs, this is the breakdown. We did the top half of the budget, we did the staffing part, and now we're doing all the operational pieces. I'll talk a little bit more about this in a bit. Okay, so the significant changes that we're seeing in 2026 over 2025, staffing costs adjusted in response to that increase in minimum wage, the DSLRC data, and the competitive job market with percentages of the operating budget being maintained at 61%. A 14.9% increase in healthcare will affect both the library and the staff. Professional and contract services includes the space assessment of the building and the development of a library master plan. An increase in conferences and workshops reflects a growing interest in professional development for the staff. A slight increase in building and grounds maintenance should accommodate an expected increase in costs. And then equipment maintenance includes a project to overhaul the library's website in preparation for ADA accessibility, as well as the implementation of a new platform that integrates the library's website and catalog, creating a cohesive, seamless online presence. And I'm really excited because you're going to hear all about that from our team later. I'm not going to put their hand on this one unless I tell you about it. In terms of capital improvements, this year we will tackle a long overdue project, which is the storage room and the updating of current workspace in the delivered room. We're working with Library Design Associates on that space plan for the area. And as a result of feedback from the strategic plan survey, we will be executing a space usage study and developing a master plan for the library. And that's something that we'll also be talking about a little bit tonight. I'm going to be looking for board feedback on that project and how you would like to proceed. So this is the whole thing, from top to bottom, the great big project that I've been working on for the last several months with the help of board members and staff members. Certainly did not do this alone, and thank you to our accountant and both of our administrative assistants who have made sure that I've been able to get through this project without losing my mind or crossing my I's and with numbers. I appreciate that. And we are excited about our projects that are coming up in 2026. We've got some really exciting things that were part of the strategic plan. We've got some things on the calendar that we've been wanting to do for a really, really long time. So I'm excited to have those. Do we have any questions?
Very clear.
Excellent.
All right, very good. Well, then we'll sit down and we can do public comment.
Thank you.
Public hearing.
We're ready for the public hearing. We open it at 5 minutes till 7. Any public want to comment? We will close it at 5 minutes to 7. Thank you.
Maybe we'll call it 6:56.
6:56.
Give them a minute.
Okay, we're ready for the consent agenda?
I have a question
Yes?
on the insurance from the Michigan Municipal Risk Management. And I was a little confused by, if I can find it again. It said, okay, it had at the, like the top part, it had the individual items, I can't even find it now. But it said, well, no, never mind, it wasn't this one, it was something else, that's why that's why I can't find it, because it wasn't this item. Never mind.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those who disapprove, please say nay. Motion carried. Friends of the Library report, Jim is not healthy, so he will not be joining us tonight.
I do have the book sale announcement, though. So we do have a January book sale coming up. The preview will be Wednesday, not Tuesday, Wednesday, from 11 to 7:30, and then the sale will be January 22nd through the 24th. So Wednesday, the 21st, preview, and then the sale, January 22nd through 24th.
Okay.
Okay. May we have the library statistics?
Any comments, Mr. Bowman?
Nothing specific other than we do still see consistent growth in attendance in programs, even though we are decreasing the number of programs to save the children's department in particular. But so many people show up to these programs. We in fact had one Saturday, that was the Santa program, which was actually rather well attended. I was participating, and it was very well attended. It was a lot of people that enjoyed the two programs. We have a sensory inclusive one and a standard one as well. So they were both well attended, and I heard quite a lot of positive noises from the parents.
And the children.
And the children. There were actually no negative noises from the children, which is usual. There were no screamers that way.
Did we have a photographer again this year?
We had we used our internal photographer, who happened to be whoever was standing nearby. Happened to be Saxony's this year, and each of the families that came through received a printed photo for their visit.
How lovely.
Yep.
Terrific. Any other questions or comments?
No?
I guess we're ready for the director's report.
So under We Are a Community Collaborator, during the month of December, CIDL is displaying a collection of Clarkston Schools student projects called Life in Clarkston. Each student did an in-depth look at some element of Clarkston. Students interviewed community members, took photos, and researched their topic to create their project board, summarizing and sharing all they learned. It is really interesting display, and the students have left feedback cards with the display so that people viewing the exhibit can share their thoughts about it. So I would highly encourage that you go and take a look at that. Under We Are a Go-To Place for Learning and Resources, the library's youth department is helping both the post office and Santa by providing an opportunity for children to drop off their letters to Santa. We are collecting letters from December 1st to the 15th. Today's the last day, kids. Get your letters in. And we'll make sure those letters make it to the North Pole so that children will receive a response from Santa's helpers before the holidays. So we're excited about that. There are also 2 opportunities for kids to ring in the new year at the library with age-appropriate Noon Year's activity parties. The toddlers and preschoolers are invited to a Noon Year's dance party geared toward little ones on Monday, December 29th from 11 a.m. to noon. And children ages 6 to 12 will celebrate on Wednesday, December 31st from 11 a.m. to noon with crafts, a dance party, and a balloon drop, which is always very popular. So be sure to register in advance for these fun and festive events. In terms of We Are a Vital Organization, in September and November, library staff were able to take advantage of the expertise of a representative from Alliance, our employee assistance program. The counselor provided the library with 2 free training sessions, one on re-engaging with your job after a bout of burnout, and another on time management techniques. Employees are able to call at any time to get individual support from a counselor or coach, but sometimes making that call can be intimidating. This was an opportunity for staff to meet Ulion staff and learn about the type of support and ask questions about other services that are included. And the feedback from the staff on both of these sessions was very positive. And just as a reminder, the library's current board term expires on December 31st of 2025. At their November 24th, 2025 meeting, the City Council voted to reappoint Nancy Moon and Maggie Sands. The Township Board has the reappointment of Library Board trustees on their December 16th, 2025 meeting agenda, so that will be done tonight.
Any questions or comments? Thank you. Now, approval of the resolution to adopt the 2026 budget.
Would you like a motion?
Yes, a motion would be lovely, thank you.
I did not hear anything. I make the motion to approve the resolution to adopt the 2026 budget by the Clarkston Independence District Library as presented.
I'll second. Yeah.
A motion has been approved and seconded to approve the resolution to adopt the 2026 budget. May we have a roll call, please?
Jan Gaffney,
Yes.
Tim Holcomb,
Yes.
Allison McFadden Keesling,
Yes.
Nancy Moon,
Yes.
Alan Panter,
Yes.
Marilyn Pomeroy,
Yes.
Maggie Sands absent. Thank you.
How about a motion to approve the updated wage ranges?
I'll move that we approve the updated wage ranges.
Second.
A motion has been made to approve the updated wage ranges and 2026 rate. Too bad I can't speak tonight. Schedule as presented to take effect on January 2nd, 2026 pay date. And we have a roll call, please.
Jan Gaffney,
Yes.
Tim Holcomb,
Yes.
Allison McFadden Keesling,
Yes.
Nancy Moon,
Yes.
Alan Panter,
Yes.
Marilyn Pomeroy,
Yes.
Maggie Sands absent. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we're ready for the presentation of the Vega website proposal.
Just a moment. Reset after Julie's presentation. Let's see what comes up. Just making sure I knew what I was doing. Okay. Give me a 2 minute preview, hang on. All right. I haven't used Canva's presentation product much, so I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So, all right, first off, welcome. This evening we are going to be talking about our website and catalog updates. The team that we put together to work on this was myself, Neil, Sissy, our team librarian Chelsea, our head of adult services David, and Julie was a part of the team as well while we were working on it. So tonight we only brought part of us because you don't have that much time. So, take it away, Sissy.
So tonight, for our presentation, we're going to give an introduction on why do we need a new website. We're going to talk about our process, the selection of the product, which is Vega. We will go over the pricing and funding, the timeline for 2026, and then request for approval. So the number one question is, why do we need a new website? So as Julie mentioned tonight earlier, last year in 2024, we underwent a strategic plan. We took the year to survey our public, our staff, our board, and then we also did focus groups that were with community members. Alongside our strategic plan, we also did a technology assessment. Bill will talk about that in the next slide. But from those data pieces, from the surveys, we were able to get the results, and the strategic plan identified areas of need or focus. One of those was the website, and as Julie said, the accessibility, the usability of the website. So those survey results indicated the desire for the library to be known as a tech resource for our community, as well as to support the community's growing technology needs. As we know, technology is ever evolving, and as part of our mission to be a cornerstone for learning, lifelong learning, we want to make sure that we support our public, our staff, our community. So Neil is going to talk about some of the data that came out of the strategic plan that helps us know why we need this website.
So there is strong interest in improving access to digital resources and making it easier to borrow and manage digital materials. The majority of respondents reported learning about the library through our website, and many requested updates to improve the site's navigation and overall ease of use. The library's website is often a first impression for many patrons that come to visit our library, so we figure that it's a good idea to update that.
So one of the things that was brought up is there's issues with the way that the website navigation works. It's not as easy to find the things we were looking for. When we designed the previous website, we built it and we knew that it's going to come at a time where we are going to need to replace it. As we said earlier, technology evolves constantly, so products change and requirements change. So we moved along, and we also found out that the large group of people that we are using, that we're trying to serve, are now using mobile devices primarily over computers and other sorts of things. So the way our site was designed primarily with the larger screen options, and the responsiveness of that website when it becomes smaller made some things even a little bit more difficult to use. So our website needs to be user-friendly for users of all ages, from the smallest children who are already using screens, all the way through our seniors and stuff like that. So they all have to be able to find things on our site easily, consistently. The other issue we had was slowness of the website periodically, where it would go offline. Occasionally, it would just glitch out. So we are working to address all of the issues that we've come up through. So as I said, the mobile screens is one of the biggest things because screens change. Yes, I heard you.
I know.
So yeah, that is one of the big major issues that we were trying to solve as we come along. Making sure that, like I said, the technology is available to all users.
So we're going to detail our process. We collected proposals. We received 4 proposals. So we'll go over that and the research that we did with the libraries that were using those websites. And then we'll talk about our collaboration within our staff, how we invited staff in to learn more about Vega, as well as some testimonials from our staff. So we received 4 proposals: Revise, Vega, Library Site Works, and Web Links. And as we were getting demos from the different website companies, we were scrolling on pages that the libraries used already, looking at their mock-ups. One of the things we kept coming back to was, wow, we really love this integrated catalog. That's called Vega Discover. So when we were talking to these different companies that were not Vega, they were saying, yes, if you like the layout of the catalog and showing the recommended books and ones that are available in this beautiful scroll, they're like, you need to purchase Vega Discover. Vega Discover would be separate from each of these 3 proposals: Web Links, Library Site Works, and Revise. So even though their base proposal is lower than Vega, you have to add on the Vega Discover cost, which on its own is another additional $15,000. So Vega was the only website company that gave us that comprehensive proposal, obviously because they own Vega Discover. So the proposal that we received from Vega is a comprehensive proposal of Discover as well as Web Builder. And so they gave us their proposal. And identifying and going through the different companies, we narrowed it down to 3, to SiteWorks, Revise, and Vega. And then we talked with the different libraries that use them, asked them, do you like the website? Do you like the company, the responsiveness, the rate that they give you? And from that, And from just looking at the proposals and whatnot, we identified Vega with their comprehensive proposal as the one to move forward, based on the ease of the catalog integration, not only for our catalog that we use, but also kids' catalog, which we'll talk about later, the ease of use for staff and for the public, and just that integration, because Vega itself has the Discover, it's Polaris, and it has our web builder. It's one company integrated into one. So if we have an issue, it's just one company we have to ask. If the staff needs to go behind the scenes and do something on the website, it's one company, instead of going and farming out to a couple other ones. So those were our proposals. And next we'll talk about our research.
So during our research, committee members met with other libraries currently using Vega. Chelsea spoke by phone with Derek and Elson, the head of IT and digital services at Rochester Hills, about their experience with the platform and how it has performed for them so far. They also discussed the steps they took to ensure that the system could be customized to match their branding across the entire platform. David and I also met with Derek in person, where we received a firsthand look at Vega and their web building system and how Vega is integrated throughout the patron experience. Derek provided a demo of the backend as well, and giving us a much better understanding of the platform overall.
And then in terms of demos, other than the ones that Neil just mentioned, we also had Vega zoom into our department head meetings. So all the department heads got to look and see what Vega was. Based on that, 2 of our department heads went and had their own demos as well. Our head of tech services, he demoed Vega Discover because he was excited about that catalog integration. And then our head of youth, Stacia, she did a demo for the kids catalog. And we will talk about both of that as well.
So, not to repeat what we've already said repeatedly, but this is a product done by a single company, Vega. Vega has both Vega Discover and Vega Web Builder. They are also the same overarching company that owns Polaris, which is our integrated library system. So their software integrates very, very well with what we already have and have been using for years. So, like you said, one platform, one support, consistent branding. We'll be able to consistently brand across all of our web presence, which is really, again, what the patrons see first before they come in here. It is centralized management, so we don't have to go outside of our own stuff. This will all be hosted. So this stuff will actually be hosted on the cloud. So that's going to be something that's a little different for me personally, because much of what I've done since I've been here is kept stuff in-house. But this is actually keeping things more available and more updatable out there as well. But it always is it is always in sync with what we have in the building and that sort of thing like that. And they do some significantly they onboard every place the same way. We're talking about our process and our timelines and stuff like that here coming up. But there's smooth implementation from every library I've talked to that has implemented the systems.
So as mentioned before, we collected a few staff testimonials to share about their Vega experience. Brad, who is our head of tech services, said that he liked the sleekness of Discover and feels it does a better job of displaying our databases of bibliographic information that tech services work so hard to maintain. Stacia, our head of youth services, she commented about how difficult our current catalog is for young youth users to utilize, and really liked how the Vega Discover is much more akin to what they're using in schools. So it's a much more familiar experience for the children. And then David, our head of adult, he said that the easier to use website designer would help staff build a more cohesive web experience for patrons, allowing us to better showcase our programs and services.
And then the last 2. Chelsea is our teen librarian. She is on our website committee. She is excited for the opportunities to make curated book lists to highlight her collections. Comes with a nice software for that. She's super excited. And then a designated landing page for the teens. So currently on our website, we do not have a page on our website for different age groups, but that was something really important to Chelsea, but unfortunately Chelsea doesn't code like me. So she created her own landing page for teens, but it's something that we link to on our website because she wasn't able to create the page herself. And before, when we started the project of the website, that wasn't on there. So she's super excited that now with the ease of use, and I know Bill is as well, there's going to be more hands that are able to help updating content on the website because it is that easy to use. You don't have to code. You just have to go on, and then it gives the responsibility to the department heads as well for the pages that they own, that they can be updating the content as they see fit. So it helps Bill's team and it helps us, gain new skills, but also keep that content really relevant. For me, I'm excited for that ease of use because I don't code. And then I'm also really excited about the branding. So if you look at our current website, we rely on a lot of stock photos. Going forward, we're not. Julie and I talked about wanting to make sure that this new site is very customizable and that it really feels like Clarkston. We know that the community loves us and we love them. And we want that to be really apparent when people are on our website. We want them to see the inside of the library, see the outside. We want them to have that feeling when they come to our website. So Julie worked to set aside $5,000 in the budget. It's in the budget for 2026. That $5,000 is going to go for our graphic designer, Lance. He is going to use that money, and he's going to be meeting with Vega. So he's going to be going over all the branding guidelines, making sure that the colors are good, the typography, and then we'll be hiring a professional photographer to get updated photos of inside the library as well as outside. The photos that we have now are very, very old, so I'm very excited to have new professional photos, and they'll be on the website. So we just really want to make sure that with this new website, because it is so important to us, we want to make sure that it really fits us.
So we also wanted to show a comparison between the old catalog, which we're currently using, and what our catalog could look like under Vega. So here is our current catalog, and as you can tell, the items
I remember yawning like a dog. I do too.
It's not
Without the
too
happy
thrilling.
face.
So it's kind of hard to decipher, to read. And this would be under Vega. As you can tell, the items, the formats, they're grouped. They're much easier, streamlined, and accessible when somebody's browsing the catalog.
Yeah, that's sweet.
And it resembles a familiar retail experience for the patrons.
Instead of 4 listings, we now have 1 with 4, so now we can see, we're not cluttered.
And this is our current kids catalog, which, well, to be honest, it's kind of dated. And this is what our kids catalog could look like under Vega, which is much more streamlined, it's easier to read, and it's easier to tell where the website's trying to take you. The previous old catalog, I felt like it was a little confusing for most kids that are just trying to use like a simple touch interface to navigate. This, much more in that lane.
So the timeline. So as long as everything goes well tonight and our request for approval is approved, then we will sign the contract with Vega tomorrow. Once we have that signed contract with them, it takes about 2 weeks for them to assign a team to us. So that would put us at starting in January of 2026. What we're doing now in between that first meeting is we have a website usability survey on our website currently. It's a very short survey, it's 3 questions. We just want to know if our public and anyone that goes onto our website, how easy is it to use and to find what you're looking for, and then what are you looking for? The website is more than just looking up a book or a movie. It's got access to how to become a Friends member, how to volunteer, what's the board doing? There is just a plethora, it's got our databases, our e-resources. So we know that there's a lot of information on the website, but we want to know what the general consumer is coming to our website for, so we can better plan for that. So Vega's very excited. We told them we're running this survey, so we will have that data to go over with them when we have our first meeting in January. The duration of the project is a 12-week implementation. So if we start in January, then the launch date, it would be May 1st or that first week of May We were very intentional when we were setting about this project because, as you know, in June, the middle of June, is the start of summer reading, which is our busiest time of the year. So June, July, August would be extremely busy. So we really wanted to make sure that we had a month and a half, not only for our staff to get familiarized with the website, but also for the public, so that when we launch summer reading in June, it's not, we just launched this and this. They're familiar with the website. They know what it does, and hopefully it helps them find the information more easily.
So now, the part you've been waiting for. What's it gonna cost? All right, so, like I said, we were looking at this project as a bundled solution as we were going through so this is broken down into two parts. There's an annual subscription that we will be paying each every year, and a one-time implementation fee, because there's always a one-time implementation fee whenever you do something new. The annual subscription for Web Builder itself, which is the website portion, is $8,600. The Discover Premium subscription was discounted to $13,416, and so that makes our annual subscription total of $22,016. Okay? But the one-time implementation fee you see is broken down into the two, which makes it a total of $30,150. So the overall year one cost is going to be $52,166. Okay,
Very good. It's good.
That was good.
It's not on this page. It's on the next one, but that's okay. So yeah, but that's how it's broken down. It is broken down into an annual subscription fee, which is to be consistent for, if I remember correctly, the thing said for up to 5 years at that exact cost. Okay, so it's not changing over the cost of the next few years. But that implementation fee again is a one-time fee. So, and these will I believe these will be rolled into our existing Polaris annual subscription fees. So it's going to be rolled into that as we go along. So this is the part where we ask you for your approval. There is a motion listed in the thing there to the packet. Words. Sometimes they come to me, sometimes they do not. So we're asking the board to approve that $52,166 for that purchase of the Vega bundle, Web Builder, and Discover to be implemented to the public in spring of 2026. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Hearing none?
Yes. Does the cost include training the staff to utilize the
Absolutely.
software?
Yes.
It's part of the implementation
Okay.
package, yes.
Okay.
Does that integrate with Local Hop for events?
Yes, not
Ish.
directly.
Okay.
It does use widgets. We can pull widgets from Local Hop into Web Builder. That's correct.
All right, cool. And then you said Vega's obvious is cloud hosted, but Polaris is on-prem here. So
Polaris will be on-prem still, yes.
does that, like, I'm assuming that syncs in real time then?
In real time. It's in real time.
Is Polaris, in such a scenario, would Polaris be replicated in the cloud then? Like,
No, there's going to be a two-way communications.
Gotcha,
Directly
okay.
through.
Cool.
Any other questions, comments? Julie, do you need to add anything?
No, I think they did a great job.
I think they did a
Well,
superb
that
job.
was going to be my comment. Great
Thanks for
job,
putting
you
all
guys.
that
That's,
together, yeah.
it's really good information. And the questions I had, as I read through this afternoon, y'all covered them, so we're good.
Do you know if there have to be any changes to Polaris, like, as is, to
I
accommodate
mean,
that?
there's going to be some, we're going to be, for you, we're using more SIP, we're going to be another SIP connection between the two, but
Yeah.
basically there is just going to be an additional communication channel between Polaris directly into Vega as it goes along.
I just didn't know if they had to, like, overhaul the
No,
DB
no,
on-prem
there's
or
nothing.
something.
We are currently up to date.
Okay.
The current version of Polaris, which is 7.8, is the minimum required edition to be able to use Vega Discover natively. So that we can move up to version 8. We'll probably move up to version 8 next year sometime, but that's not going to affect this.
Awesome.
Any other questions or comments? I'm excited to see the new version.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because I struggle in the old version, so.
And like you said earlier with Brad's request, that's my favorite part about Vega Discover. It's called a roll-up, where it takes all of the different editions of a specific thing and feeds it to you as one spot, like you
Yeah.
saw the, with ours, you asked-
Tabulated like that, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's
Yes.
in a tab
Yeah.
format, it automatically.
And
goes to
that'll be
format.
really, because I don't use the computer at all anymore.
Mhm.
I do everything on either my tablet or my phone, and I do struggle sometimes with, I can always get to where I need to get, but it's extra work, and it'll be nice not to have to,
Right, so I mean, you search for a specific thing, like you're showing on our tablet right now. The book, the large print, the
Right.
audio book are three completely different, like, well,
Right.
which one am I looking for?
Right.
The other one, the second one, you're just like, oh, I just want this one, that it's in this tab right over here. Select that one and place that
Yeah.
one on hold, boom, done.
yeah.
Yeah, that responsive UX is like, that's so important.
Quite nice,
Yeah.
yes.
I think we also want to say thank you to the committee for doing all of the research, talking to all of the people, getting their opinions about how this is working in their libraries. We know that's a lot of work, so thank you.
All right.
It was a great presentation from the three of you. You were
Yes,
so
it was.
coordinated together, like you practiced maybe or something.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, may I have a motion to approve the presentation for Vega Builder and Vega Discover bundle as presented?
I will
I'll-
move, oh, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'll make a motion to approve the proposal presented by Clarivate for the Vega Web Builder and Vega Discover bundle as presented by our wonderful team. Thank you.
And I'll second that.
Motion has been made and approved. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. A motion for Web Builder and Vega Discover. So, once it's up, we want a presentation again.
We'll make one.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Almost anticlimactic.
We are now talking about updating our ACH vendor list.
So we do this from time to time. We're supposed to do it once a year, but the only reason it's in front of you tonight is because we are adding Bamboo HR. So Bamboo HR is our new HR software, and we will be transitioning over the course of the next few weeks for payroll. Paychex has been our payroll vendor up until this point, and they already were approved to do ACH with us. So now we need Bamboo on there since we will be using that. So that's the only reason that it's on this evening.
Okay. May I have a motion to add Bamboo HR to our ACH payment list?
So moved.
Second?
A motion has been made and seconded to approve the updated list of vendors authorized to receive ACH payment as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. Motion carried. Now we are to a presentation and discussion of architects' space utilization.
Well, I don't have the fancy presentation they have. Basically, what I wanted to do was open a conversation this evening. So during the strategic planning process, feedback about the library building was plentiful. There were comments about needed updates, requests for a makerspace and additional meeting spaces for the public and larger staff workspaces and storage. Assessing the current building and prioritizing these needs is key. While there are a number of vendors that provide space assessments or space planning, and of course there are plenty of architects that will design a building expansion, I was looking for something more comprehensive. Municipalities usually have a master plan, and I wondered who might do that for a library. Instead of developing an RFP to see what these various consultants would offer us, I started researching to see if there was anyone out there specifically doing library master plans. My research led me to MCD Architects, who offer a space utilization study and master plan service specifically for libraries. I contacted them and interviewed Stephen Schneeman about the services they provide, and tonight I would like to discuss the work that they do and the proposal that they have presented. So I'm not really necessarily looking for an approval of a proposal tonight, but what I wanted to point out in this particular conversation is that an RFP was going to be a challenge, that I was going to get, based on what I was seeing, I was going to get architects saying, we will do a building expansion for you, we'll draw it up for you. And I was going to see places saying, we will do a space utilization or space assessment for you. What I was not seeing was, except for this one company, was somebody that does an actual master plan. So this is different in terms of what they're offering and what they're hoping to do. So I looked at some of the libraries that they've been working with. They've been working very closely with Farmington. They've been working closely with Orion. They are in conversation with Rochester and Plymouth. So a number of the libraries in the area are looking to work with them because what they do is a different sort of a product than what we're seeing with other architects and other space planning services. So for example, you know that we will work with library design from time to time. Library design is who we hired to do our space planning in our storage area. Library design specifically does interiors of buildings. They do not do expansion projects. They can do space utilization if your intention is to change the space that you already have. So that's one example of what the services are that are out there. And they're very, very good at it. They did space planning on our building in 2008 and turned it around in an amazing way for very good pricing. There are a number of architects that will do a space study with the intention of drawing a building, which is also another way of doing this. What's different here in terms of a master plan is they're taking into consideration everything that has been happening in terms of the conversations with our strategic plan, what our vision is for changes to the building itself, like our need for additional meeting spaces and a want for maker space. But they're also taking into consideration other wants, needs, and projects that the library might have. For example, a bookmobile or that kind of thing. So what they're doing is they're trying to take all of that into consideration, draw up an entire plan that allows you, as you're having these conversations about potentially expanding your building, what you're doing in the meantime to prepare for that potential expansion. So for example, I do a little bit of that strategic thinking on my own. If we were to expand the building, we only have so many directions we can go. So practicality would state that there are parts of the building that are going to remain the same, which is why I felt okay working on that storage area. That delivery door is probably going to remain a delivery door, and that storage area will remain a delivery area. And so it seems safe to me to maximize that storage space in the meantime while we're having conversations about other things to do to the building. This particular process would then help us to have conversations about a potential building expansion and lay out a plan for other projects we can work on leading up to a potential building expansion. So what I'm proposing this evening is just to take a look at what it is that they've suggested. So their brochure is in here, their website is in here, and their proposal is in here. And what I would propose is perhaps some board members who would like to make a committee sit down and have a conversation with Steve and see what it is that they're offering and how it is a little different than what the other companies are offering.
I like the idea of wrapping this all together.
Me
So
too.
that you don't do a piecemeal, now we're going to do this, and then this later plan is going to scrap that. We want to use the taxpayer money to the best advantage.
Right.
So if we're looking at a long-term strategic plan, which we're into now, and we've allocated a budget for doing that kind of thing, I really like the idea of looking at the whole concept and drawing it up.
I do
So that
too.
we know what steps we need to take to get to the eventual goal.
I went over and I was talking with the Orion Township Library, and they did go through a process with this architect in terms of their master plan. And it's interesting because they would like to do a major building expansion down the road, but in the meantime, they have got some smaller projects that they've been able to work on. For example, they had their building designed so that they could add a bump out. So just this past year, they did a bump out to their building so that they could add a drive-up checkout station. And that bump out also allowed them to add in an automated book sorter from their book drop.
That's
Now,
nice.
those were things that they were able to add in, knowing that there's going to be potentially a bigger expansion later on, but it will flow into what they have planned for the future. But in the meantime, they could do this improvement now so that they're continuing to work toward that other project, which I thought was a really interesting way of doing a project. Instead of saying, for example, what everybody sees, that before and after, you have an architect, they draw up this great big fabulous plan, and then you're raising a crazy amount of money trying to do something. that's not the community that we have. They want to see us grow and evolve over time, making responsible choices and making plans that use the money based on people's ability to make those changes.
It would seem to me that it would spread the costs out very well over a much
Yes.
longer period of time, instead of all of a sudden, we need millions of dollars to do a new building, when if we could improve what we have a little bit at a time, but in an organized way, so that you're not putting that bump out on, and then the next plan is, oh, we'll tear that down and put something else. Yeah, so.
I like the way that we're taking steps to get to where we want to go. I think the community will find that quite acceptable, that we're sort of walking one thing at a time, rather than running to the end to get a great big building. They see us moving at a very slow pace, and they're going to see the things that we do piece by piece, which I think is great. You know, that we're doing something for them, which also benefits us.
And it's very well thought out.
Yeah.
It's very systematic and very well thought out.
I think having a committee would be great. I'd certainly be interested in meeting with the architect if another board member or two would like to hear what they have to say.
I'd be happy to.
I could also, if you wanted a
Okay.
third person.
Yeah. Does that sound like a good number, Julie?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
If you have 4, I have to have a quorum in order to.
Yeah. So
3 is the magic number, 3 or less.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Any other discussion, comment?
Sounds like we're hearing consensus.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I don't think the cost seems so unreasonable.
No, but it is a different sort of product, and I didn't want to come in and try to sell this without really having other people take a look at it, because it is different. Municipalities use master plans all the time. The Parks and Rec
Right.
Department has a master plan. There's nobody really doing that for libraries, and when I searched for it on a national scale, even doing that, there were really not a lot of companies that were doing anything that even remotely looked like this. So I'm excited to have a deeper conversation with them.
And this company is in Michigan.
Yeah, they're in Farmington.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
Which is why they do a lot of work with the Farmington Library. because
Right,
that
I
is
can
his-
see that.
That is his hometown library, and yeah, I think he's been practicing his skills on them.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Right there.
Okay.
Thank you. I will set up a meeting.
I think we are now ready for review and discussion of the Friends budget adjustment.
Okay, so the Friends of the Library is the organization that handles the library's charitable funds. As presented to the library board at the November meeting, when the Friends contribute money to the library through the staff's wish list requests, it will be deposited into the library fund through revenue line 690, which is the Friends contributions. And the library board will approve budget adjustments to transfer the funds into the expenditure line items. The Friends also act as the collection point for memorials, donations, and sponsorship funds. The Friends are acting as a pass-through for these funds, and going forward will write checks to the library for the donations they receive on our behalf to be deposited into the library's 690 revenue line. The money will also need to be assigned to expenditure lines through budget adjustments. These contributions will be similar and potentially more frequent. Adding these as a board meeting agenda item may not be the most efficient method for making this transfer. The first of these contributions is a $500 sponsorship from General RV to be used by the library for trunk or treat. The money needs to be transferred from revenue line 690 to the expenditure line 890.006. The administrative team has been discussing the workflow for these smaller donations. Because these are essentially donor-directed funds with a specific purpose, it seems that the budget adjustments could potentially go to the consent agenda to streamline the workflow for transferring the money. The gratitude for these gifts is delivered to the donor through personalized thank you letters from the Friends and the library, included in our newsletters, and recognition of our sponsors at our events and in our promotional materials. So this is really just a financial mechanism. And so we're requesting the approval of a budget adjustment for this donation and proposing that future donations could be transferred as consent agenda items. So the board will still see them, and we'll still be making that agreement to move those funds where they need to go. But it would be a little less time consuming in terms of the meeting itself.
cumbersome.
I find that they're very forward-thinking. If it's December and they're thinking of trunk or treat in
Well,
2020.
this was 2025.
Oh, this was
money,
2025,
right, yeah,
okay, that makes
yep.
more sense.
Well, part of the problem was that the check didn't, as you know, we created this wish list system for transferring this money, and this check came after we had done all of those budget adjustments, and we were like, oh, shoot.
Okay.
Now we have this leftover one that we could have done at the same time that we did all of those, but it didn't work out that way. And then it came up in the administrative meeting, and I said to Jan, you know, we're going to have to put this on the board agenda. And she said, I said, what do you think if we went to the board and said, maybe these little ones could go on the consent agenda so that you know that they're happening, but you don't necessarily have to have a discussion.
A perfect example.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
I mean,
especially
because
with-
it really is just a mechanism to take the donation in and put it where it belongs for expenditure. So it's not, we're not really approving the accepting of a donation. People are making donations, and it needs to be acknowledged, but there's a mechanism in place for that. So this is just like housekeeping. But I felt like the board should know that this is, because it's a new way of doing things,
Yeah.
that the board should look at it one time, say, oh yeah, and that, you know, I think the consent agenda is a perfect place for it going forward.
And the administrative committee will be looking at this as this happens. So if they need a further refinement
Right.
of the management technique, we can do that. Okay.
I'm a little bit unsure about the language here where it says transferred from revenue line 690. So are we actually changing the revenue budget, increasing or decreasing it? We're not.
No, but we're assigning it, I'm
we're-
misspeaking, but we're assigning where. it would be-
Increasing our expenditure budget
Right.
for
To-
something we've already spent.
In this case, it is, but that's only because of the timing.
Right, I get it. Yeah, okay.
Normally, normally they would make a donation, and Sissy would say, oh, I have this donation, and the friends would say, great, they would write the check, and we would make the change beforehand, and then it would go into her budget so she could spend the money. So essentially what we're doing is preventing that line item from being over budget.
Sure,
Essentially, it's a budget, it's a year-end budget adjustment to assure that we don't go over budget.
okay.
But going forward, because of the timing of the meetings and these we were looking for a way that we could do it more efficiently to assure that it doesn't happen this way again. So,
Good question.
thank you for correcting my language though, because I don't speak the language as well as I should sometimes.
All right,
None of us
very good.
do.
Well, compliments to General RV for giving us $500.
We do appreciate the donation, and Trunk or Treat was an incredible event, and it always is, and it's one of Sissy's pride and joy events that we do. It gets bigger every year, sometimes a little overwhelmingly huge, but it is a great event, so, yeah.
I mean, there must have been, what, 1,500 or so this year? I mean, it was phenomenal this year. It was huge. Okay, we need to have a motion to approve a budget adjustment of 500 from line 690 to line 890.006.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. A motion has been made to approve a budget adjustment of 500 from line 690 to line 890.006. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. Motion has carried. And now to the very end, the November 30th year-to-date financial report and year-end budget adjustments.
Okay, so that you have in front of you in the little highlight papers along with your director's report and things like that. So you'll see there is a profit and loss report. There is the current budget with all of the budget adjustments we've made so far, except for the ones we made this evening. And then there's a spreadsheet of recommended budget adjustments. And so what I did was I went through and I highlighted all of the line items that were of a concern. The first thing I did in terms of making sure that everything was balancing for the year was work with Melissa, our accountant. And she ran the numbers because, of course, when you approve the January 2nd wages for the staff, that means that those wage increases actually take place the last 2 weeks of the year, because January 2nd is the pay date for the 2 weeks worth of
December.
work. Yep, for the last 2 weeks of December. I would not have asked you to do that had I not already made sure that the money was there to do that. So Melissa ran all those numbers for me and assured me that we were on budget, that it would be fine in terms of having enough money to do that. So that does not put us over budget. No budget adjustment was needed for that at all. We do have some line items that are over that we need to correct. So health insurance, we do need to fix that one. I actually think when she balances it out, she has not pulled back the one in January that would have paid for December of last year. But just to be on the safe side, I'm asking to put $16,000 in that line item to assure that we do not inadvertently go over budget, that when she balances that I have miscalculated. Life insurance was another one, $800 there. Would assure that this last payment of the year would be completely covered. $1,000 for short-term disability, $1,600 for long-term disability, $1,500 for operating supplies for tech, and $1,300 for operating supplies for CERC, $600 for audit fees, $1,300 for merchant fees. That one we don't actually put a lot of money in that until we see how much it's going to be. And then sewer, we were over by 500 in that, and the building budget was 2,200. So you can see at the bottom of my little spreadsheet, I put in where we have additional money. We had $20,922 of undesignated revenue still hanging out there at the bottom of the budget that we never actually plugged in. We had $8,000 in conferences and workshops that was not utilized. We had about $20,000 in building and grounds maintenance, and I almost hate to say this out loud because it will probably jinx us, but part of the reason, that's the break-fix budget from the fire suppression system primarily.
Oh, no.
There is still
We do have to mention them.
There is still plenty of money in that budget. Break-fix, should we have a crisis between now and the end of the year, because as we know, the year's not over yet. But Arlene did a great job in terms of managing everything in her budget this year, and so she had some extra money there. And then $3,000 in that refunds and rebates. So if we make these budget adjustments based on these line items that have these available funds and balance all of these things out, we should be in good shape. Any questions or concerns about any of those? Absolutely. What can I answer, or what can I try to answer?
So we had a presentation earlier about a software agreement that we're going to enter into with, I forgot the name of the company, but Vega. Okay. So going back to the conversation that we had a few months ago about software subscriptions and how those are accounted for, I gave you some information a few months ago about a budgeted, how that's going to affect our budget in 2025 for the Bamboo software.
Yeah.
Was that a budget amendment made? Did we ever make that budget adjustment? Because we're going to need to make that actual adjustment. We're going to need to record that issuance of the software subscription and the outlay.
I gave it to Melissa, and I feel like that one we discovered was, in terms of the money being there, there was enough money in the budget to handle it. Is that what you mean?
Well, so you have to record, when you actually sign these agreements, you have to record the proceeds and the capital outlay,
Right.
and that's over and above what your actual cash out the door is.
Right.
So we're budgeting for money that we're actually spending, hard costs. You're gonna
Right.
write a check.
Yep.
This is not something that you're gonna have to write a check for, is the recording of that software subscription. So you've got one from Bamboo, and you've also got one now, $52,000.
I thought it was for something else, because we don't have like I thought it was that 3-year agreement, or for example, it was a longer agreement, correct?
Yeah,
Because like we just have a month-to-month for Bamboo, but there was something else that Bill had said.
it was something else. It wasn't, you're right,
Yes.
month to month
It
is.
was the-
an IT
It was the
agreement.
You're right.
texting.
It was the text.
Yeah, right,
Yes.
okay, yep, okay,
Yes.
right.
And I'm pretty sure that we did send that to Melissa, so we can confirm with her to make sure that she put it in. But
She emailed me back and said no
remember.
problem that she had it, and I feel like I forwarded to you a message that she said, this is how I understand it, if he wants to confirm, so.
And I did, and she was right.
Okay.
And that was fine. I'm just wondering if that ever got factored into the budget, because that was the whole point, is that we needed to make a budget adjustment for that. And now we've got this other one
Yes.
that's similar.
Yeah.
So this is a multi-year, non-cancelable agreement that's gonna need to be considered under GASB 96.
So my spreadsheet that I worked with from the, my living, breathing document that I work from, we have our QuickBooks or whatever, but I have a living, breathing document, and it's got tabs underneath for each of the line items. And so I have labeled in that tab everything that we are committed to, and it shows that we are committed to those going forward in my note field. So I guess I'm not sure what we need Melissa to do in addition to what I'm doing in terms of documenting that. And I thought that's what I had sort of sent off to her, that she said, yep, I've got this. But I'm not sure what
Well,
confirmation.
for the software, when you sign that agreement,
Yep,
you need to record a revenue, and I say that in air quotes because it's not really a revenue.
right.
You need to record a revenue and an expenditure for the entire amount of the software agreement,
Okay,
So. I
not
found-
just the first year.
right.
So
And
the entire amount, so,
Right. I found the email that she had sent to us,
mhm.
and it said record full subscription, I believe DR's debit of 11,310, and then credit for the liability, 11,310. And then she had recorded the first year payment as 4770, and then the other one is the amortization over 3 years, 3,770. But I don't know 100% if it was completed, because it did say that we were gonna send it to you, but I wasn't in anything else that said, like, yes, that was buttoned up. So she has it ready,
Okay,
I just don't know if it.
okay, so she knows the entry that needs to be made,
Yep,
but that also has to be budgeted,
Okay, so then we'd also have to do it for the new software as well.
and we have to do it for the new software. The new software is quite a bit more expensive,
Correct.
and it's gonna be a much more significant budget adjustment.
okay.
Is it going to be a budget adjustment, or is it part of the budget?
Well, because we approved the budget, it will be a budget adjustment.
Right, is that going to, if we're approving it as a budget, does it involve a budget adjustment?
I think it does. I think you have to have the budget for that expenditure.
Right. But most of, these adjustments are from budgeting we already had done, that
Right.
we now have to adjust. But this is something we're already going to
Oh, I
budget
see what you're saying.
appropriately to begin with.
Mhm.
So we should not have to make, hopefully, a budget adjustment later, because we've already put it into the budget.
But if we
Right.
sign that this year, then that's about.
If you sign that this year, it's gonna need to be recorded this year, which is gonna need to be budgeted this year.
For 3
And
years.
if we don't do it, we run the risk of having a material weakness in our audit.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, it's really interesting, though, you're saying that you made the comment about the thing for Vega, but I don't think Vega was a multi-year contract.
I'd like to look at it.
Yeah.
I'd like to look at the actual contract and
Yeah.
assess it
Yeah.
for GASB 96.
Yeah, because I don't think it was a multi-year contract.
You're not
what you were
committing
saying was
to,
that-
to holding that, because
No.
it was holding the same cost over a period of up to 5 years.
Well, that's what I remember being told, that, you know.
But it may not be part of the
We've
written
had the
contract either,
longer-
so.
More than I have,
Well,
more recently than I have.
I don't know that I have the actual contract, but I have the quote. And the quote doesn't say multi-year on it.
Okay.
So,
And that's what makes the distinction,
Right.
correct? So it has to say.
Right.
The three, like.
But I have a question then, though. If this software continues to be used after 1 year, is it, so even if it isn't a multi-year contract, if it could be broken in a year, let's say, let's just, you know, but we can just continue to use it, how are we going to, supposed to budget that?
If it's just a one-time purchase, it's just, how much did you spend? I bought the software for $500.
Correct.
1,000, that's all you have to budget.
The problem is this is softwares that we're going to likely continue to use for,
You only have to make the
An
adjustment I'm
unknown
talking
amount of
about
time.
at the beginning, at the inception of the agreement.
so if it's a single year or less,
There's no
modification.
adjustment you have to make.
okay, then
For
we'll actually.
for a multi-year software agreement like the one we talked about this summer,
Correct.
there is an initial entry that needs to be made.
yeah, this is according to the quote that we have. So I don't have the
Just a
full
year.
contract yet, just
Okay.
the quote.
Mhm.
It does not say it's a multi-year agreement. It says that it's an annual subscription but it's a one-time, there's the one-time implementation fees, and there's an annual subscription. What Bill alluded to when he made the comment was that they were saying that the price wouldn't change over time.
For 5 years.
For 5 years.
For 5 years,
I
but nowhere in
believe
here
so.
does it say it's because it's a 5-year contract.
That may have only been
Okay.
verbal then.
So they're
They're just saying-
guaranteeing that the annual rate will
They're
not
just saying
increase for
that-
5 years.
So I need to look at the,
Yeah.
I need to look at
We
that
have
contract.
We'll have to get the contract.
And see if it-
Tomorrow.
See if it falls under GASB 96.
And I did just forward that email to Melissa to double check that that was completed. The other one that we.
Yeah, well, not only is there an entry that needs to go in the general ledger, there's a budget that needs to be there too. And that was what we talked about back then.
So that budget would be, hang on just a second. That's the 931 budget. Yeah, there's, I suspect that's why she didn't flag that one, because it looks like 931. There's plenty of money in that budget to cover that.
Okay,
Yeah, that's not a problem at all.
okay.
And I think that's why she didn't mention
And that's
that.
not really a big ticket item.
Mm-mm.
You know,
No,
the website software is a lot bigger ticket.
it is, it is. Yeah, that one was only about $4,000,
Yeah,
I
this
think.
one was like
4,700.
Yeah, yeah, that's not
And
that
then
big
she
a
had
deal.
amortization that was over the 3 years.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was the adjustment. we
And I
made.
think that's why she probably didn't mention it, because what she did flag some things and say, hey, be sure you look at these budget line items, and that wasn't one of the ones that she flagged.
Okay,
And it is because there's significant money in that line.
okay,
item.
so the budget is okay, we've
Yep.
agreed to that.
Yep.
But it doesn't appear that she made the actual adjustment.
Right, so we need her to do that before the end of the year.
So like I said, I forwarded the email and said, hey, did you do this? And then that way, and I
Okay.
CC'd Juliana.
Okay,
Yep,
because
very good.
we did, look at that and determine
Yeah.
that it was subject to GASB 96, and we got to make that adjustment. Okay.
Yep,
Good for being on top of things.
let's make the adjustment.
That's why we have a CPA on the board.
So now you still need an agenda, a motion, right?
Yes, for the other ones.
And I'll make a note to pull out that contract, because I'm just looking at it, and I'm not seeing where in this quote where they were talking about a multi-year agreement.
Well, as I was listening to it, that was definitely the understanding that I got,
Which is,
was
again,
that this
may
is an
have been
ongoing
verbal.
cost,
Yeah.
not the implementation
Right.
fee,
No, the
But
implications
since
are
it
one
was-
time.
but the other two pieces,
Well,
My
if it
understanding
works,
is that's-
if it works the way the catalog itself does, so this is not our first time working with this company. Polaris is our current catalog. And that one does not have a multi-year contract. So you pay your one-time implementation and you become a customer, and it's like a maintenance fee that you do every year, an annual
Mhm.
maintenance fee.
Mhm.
And that maintenance fee does not have a certain time period attached to it. They charge you every year for this maintenance agreement.
Mhm.
It's my understanding that this works the same way, it's just the website side of it, as opposed to the catalog side of it.
Okay,
So, actually, when he made the comment about the 5 years, that was the first I'd heard that part.
So it's more like a subscription fee.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
Annual
think it's still
subscription.
considered a SBITA, like a subscription based.
that's exactly what I'm talking about, GASB 96.
Right,
split us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because it doesn't have a termination date. I mean, it would have a termination date of every year.
Well, like you said, if it's under a year, then it's okay.
Well,
We need to know
what I'm
if it's
saying,
more.
but the way that our thing works, it's like, if we don't pay at the end of the year, it's cut off. It's not like we can continue, but if we pay, they continue on for another year.
Sure.
Because we're not
There's-
paying for like 4 years at a time.
I think that's pretty normal, is to
Right.
have a cancellation, in case of non-payment, you know.
Well, it says here in the quote that it's an annual subscription, and it does not allude to any sort of timeframe,
Okay,
so.
okay. Can you send me that agreement, and I'll look at it? But what are
This
we
is,
gonna?
this is just what was in the packet, the actual
Oh,
contract.
I've
I
already
don't
got
have.
that,
Mhm.
but I need the actual agreement.
Yeah, that I
We
don't
don't
have
that
yet,
Okay.
so.
Okay. If we want to wait until January to sign that, then we alleviate the problem for ourselves. I don't know if you want to wait 2 weeks. It doesn't sound like you did. It sounded like you were going to be signing it tomorrow.
The idea is to be able to start the process beginning of January.
And Sissy said they need
And
2
it
weeks
takes
to
2 weeks
assign a
sign
team.
So to assign a team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I get it.
Then in terms of the payment of the process, not that that matters, but this is a pay at the end of the project. This is not something that,
Right? It's not
you
like
don't pay
the-
for it on the front end, you pay for it when it's complete,
Okay,
so.
So
Okay.
April or May.
So the payment, yeah.
But it's fine. when
But
you
it's,
sign it.
right, but it's when we date the contract.
the initial adjustment
Yeah.
that I'm talking about is,
If it-
would apply in December.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's not cash, it's, you're budgeting this proceeds and you're
Right,
budgeting this outlay, and it has nothing to do with cash.
No, I know. I'm thinking through the things that they said, though. I'm sort of thinking out loud in terms of, say, when they were talking about the whole process. Like, okay, this is a thing where Sissy was talking about the timeline, and she's like, well, we need you to sign the contract so that we can assign you a team. So that's what triggers the assigning of the team. They won't assign us a team until we sign the contract.
Right,
So,
It's
Right.
legitimate.
get it. Yep.
It's a legitimate request.
So if it's a real problem,
No,
we could
it's not-
start the third week in January.
Well,
You know, if that would alleviate the problem.
yeah, but with the summer reading program popping up in June,
Yeah, I know.
Well,
All that matters
you know,
is sign.
So the problem is that, so what help me out with the numbers here for.
52,166
Well, that's,
is the
The
overall.
that's the top line cost, including the implementation.
The
fee.
implementation fee was.
right, the annual.
Was about 30 grand of
Yeah,
that.
it's 30 something.
So it's
yeah.
about 22 grand, and
22
if it is a 5-year agreement, you
It-
gotta book all 5 years now.
Yeah, it's.
So that's a
Yeah, I may
$100,000
have
grant.
misspoke at that
That's-
point, it was just that the costs weren't supposed
Yeah.
to change. Not that it was a contract, and that was, like I said, that was a verbal
Okay.
statement that was made
But
early in the
what I'm
process.
saying is the potential is
Yeah.
that we could need a budget
Yeah.
amendment before December 31st
Well, I think
of
what
$100,000.
I think what the trigger would be is the actual signing the contract. So
Mhm.
what I need to do is have her pull the contract, and when we look at the contract tomorrow, if it doesn't say 5 years, I can go ahead and sign it without any issue at all, correct? And if it does say 5 years, then we need to not sign the contract until we come back to the board and make a budget adjustment in January. Correct?
Or we just go ahead and not have a budget amendment and violate state law.
No, I'm just saying that.
oh, that's wonderful advice.
No, those are the
No,
choices.
but, yeah, so we just have to.
But,
Yes.
right.
Yeah,
But that's also something to keep in mind for the other IT things that will have come up later, because we do have multi-year agreements
Totally.
for other things.
totally, yeah.
Because of
Yeah.
that, like you said,
Not if I can help it.
because like how you just explained it makes more sense.
I assumed
So-
it was
My
like a
understanding
subscription
was
you
that this
paid,
was
and
not
if you didn't
a
pay,
multi-year agreement.
they-
This was
It's not.
the cost of the subscription
Yes.
isn't going to change for
But
5
it's good to
years.
know for
But it's
future.
just a subscription.
Yes.
It's
Okay,
just a-
that was my understanding.
So as
But
long
then
as
I'm-
that's the case, then we're good to go, essentially. is what it's
Right, and these subscriptions are exactly what that Gatsby statement
Mhm.
pertains to.
saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
Thing to see.
it's the software subscriptions. So,
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we're going to find out if it's a 5-year contract or not. If so, it will be discussed, and hopefully it isn't, so we can move forward, because Vecchio sounds like a wonderful solution.
It does. Can you still make these budget adjustments?
yeah.
We still need to make these, yes. Now that we have reviewed the year-to-date financial report from November 30th, may I have a motion, please, to approve end-of-year budget adjustments as presented?
So moved.
Second. Motion has been made and approved to approve the end-of-year budget adjustments as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. Motion carried. The adjustments will get made. Any other things we need to discuss in the year of 2025? Well, then, I think we can have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
May I please? Please.
Yes.
I move that we adjourn.
Second. Understand. Motion has been made by Marilyn at her last meeting on the board
We're gonna
That's
miss
my
her.
last
to adjourn. And a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. Motion approved at 8:04.